Joanne Richards.
And I'm Richard Beynon, and we're from All About Writing. Now we're going to talk about dialogue today. One of the very best writers of dialogue of the 20th century, in my opinion, was Elmore Leonard. He probably learned the skills of writing dialogue in his film writing. He wrote probably as many films as he wrote novels, and he applied to his novels the skills that he'd learned writing for the screen. I want to read you a couple of paragraphs from the opening of a novel of his, a novel called Bandits. It's a wonderful example, by the way, of how to start a story, and I defy anyone not to want to read on. But just listen to the dialogue. Every time they got a call from the leper hospital to pick up a body, Jack Delaney would feel himself coming down with the flu or something. Leo Mullen, his boss, was finally calling it to Jack's attention. You notice that? They phone, usually it's one of the sisters, and a while later you get a kind of moan in your voice. Oh man, I don't know what's the matter with me. I feel kind of punk. Jack said, Punk? I never used the word punk in my life. When was the last time? I mean, they called. Wait a minute. How many times since I've been here have they called? Twice. Leo Mullen looked up from the body on the prep table. You want me to tell you exactly? This is the 4th time I've asked you in the past almost 3 years now. Leo wore latex gloves and a plastic-coated disposable apron over his vest, shirt and tie. He looked like a man all dressed up doing the dishes. Dialogue, for some reason, frightens many writers. Now, I've spent my career writing dialogue for television dramas of one sort or another, and I've learned a few tricks along the way. The first trick, and perhaps the most important, is you have to learn to eavesdrop shamelessly. You've got to listen consciously to the way that people talk, and have a notebook at your side, and note down snatches of dialogue, phrases that they use, phrases that you couldn't possibly have thought of yourself. Now, in addition to those sorts of gems, you'll also learn to the kind of deep cadences of natural speech.
But of course there is a difference between natural speech and dialogue. When people are speaking in life, they meander all over the place. They repeat themselves constantly, which of course could be dead boring in a book. So dialogue itself is more economical. And it doesn't have all the ums and ahs and ers and whatchamacallits that real speech has.
Although sometimes, just for effect, you might inject an or an or a whatchamacallit. But the thing to remember is that every word of dialogue must count.
And of course in real life, people never explain themselves to each other, like new writers sometimes do. For example, they'll never say, you've done an amazing job bringing up your twins Sally and Cindy. So in dialogue, you can't do it either, just because perhaps you want to explain something to the reader. And one final tip, if you want to hear what your dialogue really sounds like, read it aloud. Allow your ear to do the judging rather than your eye.
There is, in fact, no real reason to be fearful of writing dialogue. After all, every human on earth utters many thousands of words every day, quite authentically.
Some of us more than others.
Dialogue, you might say, is the sea that we swim in.